Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder All Weather here. We've actually officially passed the hottest part of summer because we're losing about 2 minutes of daylight now. And that actually brings us one step closer to fall. In fact, I'm actually going to be putting out my fall outlook as well as my winter outlook later on this week. So definitely stay tuned for that. But first and foremost, we've got some severe storms across the East Coast. It's going to be impacting about 70 million people later on this afternoon. It's all going to be the culprit of this powerful low pressure center that's going to be highlighted over the Great Lakes this morning. And then we've got a powerful jet stream coming in off the West Coast. And you can already see the lift associated with it. There's more storm complexes blowing up across portions of Oklahoma, and that is just the start of what's to come across the East Coast later on this afternoon. As strong to severe thunderstorms are really going to be highlighted, especially around the 2 o'clock time frame into the evening. So here is the setup on the water vapor imagery as what it might look like as these storm complexes really start to get its act together right around 2 o'clock this afternoon, really starting to originate coming out of Oklahoma. And then it's going to be taking advantage of that peak heating. A lot of high dew points within this region. We definitely have to lift with the low pressure center further to the north. And that's going to be causing all that, the thunderstorms to rise and kind of bubble up in the atmosphere. And we could be looking at widespread severe storms. And here's the low level jet. So the low, the very strong jet stream that's going to be coming on off the West Coast. You can see where the boundary really kind of stalls, right? I mean, it stalls right there, literally just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that puts Oklahoma in play. That puts portions of Kansas in play. And then areas across the East Coast, up through Tennessee, through Kentucky, going up to West Virginia, into the DC region with a high wind threat later on this afternoon. But further to the south, wow, look at that. Widespread excessive heat warnings taking place. The dew points are actually elevated this morning. Then this afternoon, they're really going to be maxing out across this region. That's widespread 110 plus, folks. That's some dangerous stuff, especially now that school is going to be starting back this week for a lot of these areas. So definitely stay hydrated within this region because the heat really gets dangerous later on this afternoon. But if you are in the market for a weather station, I definitely highly recommend the Weatherflow from Tempest. It's actually the one I personally had for the last 3 years. I know a lot of people have actually taken advantage of this on this channel, but the cool thing about it is it's a complete 5-in-1 system, and it's kind of a set and forget it. It's all solar. So once you set it up, and it only takes 10 minutes to do that, it's pretty much done. And I mean, it updates itself. You have a convenient app you can download on your phone. My whole family actually has this, so they're constantly getting updates on this device. And then you also have a desktop version as well. You can be a part of the 55,000 other people in the community right now. So I do have a discount code if you are interested. If you'd like to purchase one, I do have 10% off for you and free shipping. And I'll definitely have the link in the description below. So if you'd like to order one, you can definitely do so yourself. But yeah, later on this afternoon, we've got widespread enhanced risk, and some of these areas could be looking at very intense winds, 65 plus, 75, maybe some isolated 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Really can't rule out this is all going to get its act together later on this afternoon, right about 2 o'clock, and really start to maximize 6, 7 o'clock this evening. Montgomery's into play, into the Birmingham region, Huntsville, back into Atlanta, the Atlanta region, through the Raleigh region, getting up to Roanoke, all the way through the Charleston region, heading into Richmond, into Baltimore, and that does include DC, up into Philly, and it does include even the New York City area. So this whole area is definitely under the gun for widespread severe storms. Very high wind threat, and unfortunately, we could be looking at some isolated tornado spin-ups within this region. Really originating along this zone into Jackson, back into Roanoke, back into portions of Charleston, up here into Richmond, into the DC region, back into Baltimore, into the Philly region. Does include portions of Pittsburgh, and that swings all the way up into portions almost in the Albany region. So this whole area definitely going to be likely seeing some tornadic spin up tornadoes. And there's your wind threat, folks. So there's the winds. They're going to be coming out of Oklahoma. They could be looking at just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Pretty intense winds going to be coming across. Some of these could be some downburst or even some microburst within this region. Some of these on these collapsing thunderstorms. But out east, very high impact day with very intense winds, maybe even maxing out upwards to almost 80 miles an hour. So we're going to be seeing widespread, likely severe thunderstorm warnings and some isolated tornado warnings. And some of these could be confirmed tornadoes later on this afternoon. So definitely be on high alert within this region. I know it is a Monday. It is a work day. A lot of people are going to be out and about at the office and everything. So you just need to have your warnings ready to go and definitely get in your safe place when active weather is in your area. Because looking at the helicity indexes, we've got a pretty high impact event, folks. That's why we've got widespread multi-state event later on this afternoon. This is where you're going to be seeing the most lift and the possibility of the most, areas that could see an isolated spin up tornado, likely possibly into the Kentucky region, into West Virginia, heading up into portions of DC, up into the Delaware region. So these are the most favorite areas to possibly seeing a tornado to later on this afternoon. But heading into tomorrow, there's your boundary or cool front, cold front, whatever you want to call it, a separation of air. Essentially, that's where it's going to stall, literally just north of there. So yeah, you could squeeze out a shower or two just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, especially along the Red River. But that's where this cold front, this boundary is going to more or less wash out, right? But all eyes are going to be turning into the north because we're going to have another storm complexes as the ridge stays in place further south, kind of blowing up across portions of, just east of Denver. That'll be on the day on Tuesday, and these are actually going to be diving, east southeastward, heading into your Wednesday. And we're going to be another little kind of swirl in the upper levels. That's you're going to be your lift that's going to be causing more showers and thunderstorms to kind of break out within this region, literally just kind of east of Denver. And these are going to be traversing across and head towards the St. Louis region again and head towards portions of southern Illinois. Further to the north, we've got another complex that's going to be impacting portions of Canada here, and that's going to be swinging across as well, as they remain definitely on the cooler, much nicer side of the atmosphere with these little fronts that are going to be coming in. But there's the setup with the moisture as we head into Wednesday, right? So we got the ridge of high pressure. We got that stalled front that's draped across portions of the south. That's actually going to be lifting back northward as a warm front, and it's going to be stalling around this region. So just to the right of there, that's where the moisture is going to be pooling again. You've got the complex coming in out of Colorado region, right? That's going to be diving east southeastward, really highlighting this area. And that's why the Weather Prediction Center does in fact have that, a slight risk for excessive rainfall within this region with that new mesoscale convective system coming in, heading into your Wednesday timeframe. More heavy rain back into portions of Missouri, central to southern Illinois, back into portions of Indiana again, into Kentucky, into western Tennessee, and that dives into portions of the southeast heading into your Wednesday. But out in the tropics, folks, there's really not much going on. It's El Nino. We've got a lot of shear happening over the Caribbean. It's just basically shutting down the Gulf of Mexico. So there's really not much happening. We do have a low pressure center, tropical wave coming on off the African coast. We still have a lot of Saharan dust. So, and then out east, we have storm complexes. We've actually had 4 hurricanes. Dora was the last one. Now we have Eugene. That's a tropical storm that will be heading out in the open water. So they've actually had 5 named storms out there in the eastern Pacific as well. But looking out further on the ensemble guidance, folks, there's, again, for the next 10 days, the shear and everything is just going to completely shut down. So the tropics, at least for right now, are definitely behaving. There's not much activity out there. So as we head into Thursday, as this warm front continues to lift further north, and we've got that other low pressure center coming across, we have more instability in a lot of the same places on Thursday. They're going to be getting the activity today. So more heavy rain. It's going to be moving across a lot of these same regions through the Carolinas, through portions of Tennessee again, back into West Virginia, back into Pennsylvania again. That's going to be pulling up into the upstate New York. You can see down here the monsoon season has definitely just not been active, folks. It tries to get going, but the ridge has been pretty dominant across the Southwest as well, and it's really been kind of shutting down. Some days it's able to squeeze through and bring some much needed rain across these regions, but most part, the monsoon has not really been a threat this year, and they desperately need rainfall in that region. So as we head into your Friday kind of Saturday time frame, so the ridge continues to expand and build across the south. That's unfortunately not going anywhere. And for the north, we've got kind of more cooler pocket aloft, and we got another complex is going to be coming in out of Canada that's going to be diving southeast, and that's the highlighted feature that's going to be coming across portions of Minnesota through portions of Wisconsin. That'll be in the day on Friday, heading into your Saturday time frame, heading into the East Coast again. But further south on Saturday, folks, the heat just continues to roll on for the south. Widespread triple digits continue for a good part of Texas, and then the western regions start to warm up again. We're going to have a lot of ridging start to come back in these regions. So these temperatures, especially along the West Coast, are really going to be starting to elevate. You see 84, but you'll be into the 90s as you head deeper into the weekend. So here's your kind of rain complexes as over the 24-hour period for the upcoming weekend that's going to be coming up. So that's going to be, where that low pressure center is further north around the Great Lakes. There's going to ring out some instability, ring out some showers and storms across central and northern portions of Minnesota, back into portions of Wisconsin again, through Michigan and along the Great Lakes region. And then you'll have those new complexes that come out of the Rockies here and to be diving across this zone and, across portions of Kansas, ending in a good part of Georgia. And there's your low pressure, right? There's your low pressure, another little significant low pressure cooling pocket aloft coming in. The ridge hangs on tight across the south, and there's the ridging coming back into play across the West Coast. So these areas across the coastal regions are definitely going to be heating up in a big way, and that'll be on the day on Sunday as we're starting to creep up, not 84 now, but back into the middle 90s across these regions. And as the heat will continue to build across the west, stay highlighted across the south, and it's just cool with those cooler pockets aloft up north. It's actually been a really pleasant, comfortable summer. You've had some heat at times, but overall, it's been a really nice summer for you folks, and you haven't been really locked into the heat. You've been getting storm complexes, you've been getting rain, and we have more systems coming across, and those are widespread 70s across this region, feeling really nice. And that on the day on Sunday. So if we break down the precipitation over the next 7 days, you can kind of see where it's at, right? As the ridge continues to, be locked across these regions, not much precipitation to ring out. The monsoons tries to get its act together, but really doesn't. It's just these complexes that come across on the northern periphery of that ridge are going to be highlighted where the highest rainfall is going to be across these regions. And the East Coast continues to remain definitely on the wet side. And as we look at the ensembles, taking it a step further beyond this week, we kind of have the same deal, folks. We have another kind of cooling pocket aloft further to the north across southern portions of Canada into the Great Lakes. That'll feed into the north central states, and then heading into the Ohio Valley back into the northeast again with those cooler conditions. And you can definitely see that on the temperature anomaly front from the 8th through, from the 15th through the 22nd of August, as the ridge rolls on for a good part of the south and the southwest and much of the west coast. And we've got those nicer, cooler, average, even maybe slightly below average for a good part of the middle of the country, southern Canada, back into the Ohio Valley, and that may swing into the portions of the mid-Atlantic regions. And then on the precipitation front, even heading into that going through the 20-second time frame out here in the tropics, you can see a lot of brown still highlighted across the Atlantic and across a good part of the Gulf of Mexico. That's a strong indication there's likely even going to be nothing close coming to the United States, even after this week, as far as the tropical development front. So all things are quiet out there in the tropics. So I will definitely keep you well informed and weather aware on this channel. Definitely stay tuned to my fall and winter outlook that I'll be releasing later on this week, likely heading into this weekend on my winter outlook. So I appreciate you guys watching. Definitely be safe up there along the East Coast, where 70 million people are going to be impacted across those areas for severe storms later on this evening. And definitely stay tuned for latest updates on this channel, where I protect you before and after storm.